Naomi Ellis adjusted the strap of her tote bag, feeling its familiar weight against her side as she approached the private observatory stone steps. Nestled atop a hill, the observatory gleamed under the early morning sun, its polished wooden doors a stark contrast to the humble facade of Ellis Florals back in town. This trip was meant to be a reward, a respite from the bouquets and arrangements that occupied her days. She had saved meticulously, sacrificing small pleasures, every penny counted and saved for this one moment. Her outfit, a simple dress paired with comfortable sneakers, might not match the refined attire of other visitors she saw arriving, but it was hers, as was the carefully folded brochure in her hand, promising celestial wonders and a glimpse into a world far removed from hers. Naomi inhaled deeply, taking in the sharp, clean scent of well-maintained gardens surrounding the entrance. Inside, the air cooled, laced with a hint of wood polish. Her heart swelled with anticipation as she stepped towards the check-in desk, smartphone clutched loosely in her hand. "Excuse me," she began, her voice steady but hopeful. "Is it all right if I take a few photos inside? I'm just really excited to." The staff member, immaculately dressed and seemingly exasperated, cut her off. "No, absolutely not," came the abrupt response. "This isn't a place for personal photography. We expect our patrons to respect privacy here." The words, sharp and public, sliced through the air, leaving Naomi feeling exposed and unwelcome. As nearby guests turned to observe, whispers flared up like brushfire, leaving her self-conscious and diminished. Her dream visit felt suddenly tarnished, a blush creeping across her cheeks as she stood frozen under the weight of collective judgment. Naomi stood motionless, her cheeks aflame with embarrassment as a hush fell over the room. The other patrons looked her way, their expressions a mix of curiosity and discomfort. A few exchanged knowing smirks, while others whispered among themselves, nodding as if to agree with the staff member's rebuke. Naomi's hope for a magical experience evaporated, leaving her feeling like an intruder in a world where she clearly did not belong. Without a word, she turned and began her retreat. The walls, adorned with star charts and illuminated by the soft glow of inset lighting, seemed to close in around her, pressing the humiliation deeper into her chest. Her steps echoed across the polished wooden floor, each one a reminder of the failed adventure. As she neared the grand entrance, Naomi glanced back one last time, casting a wistful gaze toward the distant telescopes she had so badly wanted to see. Outside, the world felt larger and more indifferent than it had moments before. The observatory's immaculately landscaped gardens offered a semblance of peace, but her heart weighed heavily from the cruel interruption of her long-dreamed visit. She found a weathered bench set beneath a drooping willow tree on the edge of the path and sank down onto it, her bag placed beside her as she attempted to steady her breath. It was then that the memories came flooding back, recollections of the past few months intertwined with the scent of fresh-cut flowers and the monotony of her daily grind. She thought about the long hours in her small flower shop, her hands wrapped with band-aids from thorns as she expertly arranged blooms to brighten the lives of her patrons. Each bouquet represented a moment foregone, a night she traded conviviality for solitude as she pieced together another dream in scented petals. Naomi closed her eyes, picturing the times when she had passed by the observatory on her way home. The grand building always intrigued her with its promise of celestial revelations accessible only to those who dared to dream. Her doctor had recommended fresh air and stress relief to counterbalance her demanding schedule, and this visit was meant to be a step towards achieving that. She recalled the thrill of anticipation she'd felt clutching the vibrantly colored brochure that had detailed everything the observatory offered. But life had not been easy. Running a florist shop isn't just arranging flowers, it is managing a tight budget, keeping up with seasonal changes, ensuring customer satisfaction, and doing it all with a smile. Naomi often worked alone, managing orders and deliveries, her only respite the occasional delivery truck where she would meet another florist or a delivery driver to exchange a quick greeting before returning to her work. The observatory visit was meant to be a break from all this, a personal milestone to celebrate her birthday. A day captured not in bouquets or dates but in silence, wonder, and the company of stars. She envisioned stepping back through those imposing doors and interrupting cosmic dances only a telescope lens could reveal. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves above her, briefly stirring her from the reverie. She stared at the sprawling garden and smiled softly, imagining how the flowers here might compare with her own shop selection. A series of flashbacks painted images of missed vacations, unpaid overtime, and the loneliness of running a solo business. Each sacrifice weighed heavily on her, a testament to endurance and the quiet resilience required to survive as a small business owner. Beneath the humiliation lay a thread of anger knitting itself tighter by the moment. It wasn't fair, she mused, for anyone to feel so small. It wasn't fair to save so much, expect so little, and be dismissed so easily. Her fingers gripped the edge of the bench as she fought back against the wall of tears threatening to fall. Naomi understood now, more deeply than ever, that life didn't always reward hard work and dedication directly. Sometimes, you took comfort in small victories, the gratitude of a bride as she saw her bouquet for the first time, the joy in a customer's eyes as they picked a single flower meant to convey unspoken words. Sometimes, you persevered knowing each day was an opportunity to nurture beauty in a world of chaos. Despite her heartbreak, Naomi took solace in realizing that her dreams still shimmered somewhere on the other side of shame. Her gaze wandered up to the sky, a pale canvas just beginning to show hints of the coming twilight. Somewhere up there, she thought, secrets unfolded in spite of human insecurity and unkindness. As the sun dipped lower towards the horizon, Naomi leaned back on the bench, reflecting on the unexpected turn her visit had taken. While she had been shut out, her spirit wasn't crushed, it was reshaping itself into something new. As stars began to dot the sky, Naomi gathered a crust of determination layered around now still nerves. Her moment with the stars still lay ahead, bright and just beyond the veil cast by disappointment. Drawing in a breath of fresh, floral-scented air, Naomi rose from the bench and adjusted her tote bag, the echoes of her inner contemplation fueling a quiet newfound resolve. She began the short journey home, determined not to let this setback diminish her spirit or passion for discovery. Life had taught her well, she knew that even among thorns, beauty could thrive. Naomi vowed to nurture her dreams and her dignity, letting them bloom anew as she moved forward into the night. As Naomi rose from the bench, the gentle rustling of leaves above seemed to whisper words of encouragement. She clutched her tote bag, feeling the weight of the day's disappointment lighten slightly with each step she took. Determined not to be defeated by the morning's events, she headed towards the gravel path leading back home. The observatory loomed silently behind her, its grandeur now tinged with a personal sting. Naomi kept her head held high as she followed the path around the premises, choosing not to dwell on the bitter experience but rather to savor the solace of the gardens that had comforted her. As she walked, lost in thought, Naomi heard voices from the opposite side of a tall hedge bordering the path. Curiosity piqued, she slowed her pace and listened. The voices grew clearer, a conversation between two staff members, barely shielded by the thick foliage. "I can't believe we're still holding things together without proper inspections," one voice said, laden with frustration. "Management's skating on thin ice. It's a wonder no one's called them out yet with those damn exits padlocked." The second voice responded, slightly wary, "I know, but rocking the boat isn't my game, especially after what happened with Mr. Wallace's whistleblower issue last year. Still can't believe they got away with it." Naomi's heart skipped a beat, her earlier feelings of injustice quickly transforming into a sense of purpose. Her setback was nothing compared to the potential dangers being brushed aside. As nonchalant as she tried to appear while passing by, her mind was already framing a course of action. A few more steps revealed a side entrance, partially obscured by an awkwardly placed sign, unequivocally marked, "Emergency Exit." Yet, despite its intent, the heavy chain and padlock securing the door left the real emergency hidden, a gamble overlooked for convenience or negligence. Bringing out her phone, Naomi snapped a series of photographs, documenting the padlock and the overheard conversation fragments as clean evidence of disarray hidden behind the observatory's polished facade. Her fingers hovered briefly over the phone as doubt momentarily clouded her resolve, but then she recalled the smirk on the staff member's face, the whispers among the patrons. It was enough to banish any lingering uncertainty. Not far from the site, Naomi paused at a coffee shop with a well-positioned table, perfect for sipping a latte and solidifying her plan. She quickly accessed her contacts, searching for the email address of a local journalist known for investigating consumer safety and small-town justice. A force of motivation surged within her. She would not only salvage her dignity but leverage this moment to stand against complacency. Her message poured out, concise and purposeful, detailing her experience and observations with attached photos from her visit. She sat up straighter, reviewing the draft before deciding it captured everything relevant: the humiliation, the inconsistency, and the locked emergency exit. Her cursor lingered over the send button, and with a surging heart, Naomi pressed it, releasing her words into the digital ether. Rising from her seat, Naomi felt unexpectedly light-hearted. Her spirit resonated with newfound energy, one born from the belief she had done something about not just her plight, but potential dangers faced by all visitors. The rest of the day unfolded quietly, as if catches of moonlight graced each of her steps, her heart turning over possibilities. What might her email accomplish? How might her actions ripple outwards? As she concluded her evening rituals, tending to her delicate blooms and snipping errant leaves in her shop, Naomi found herself suffused with an unusual peace. The earlier weight nested in her chest seemed lifted, replaced by the warmth of self-respect growing from her proactive stance. In what newfound harmony she could find, Naomi chatted with a late customer, her conversation flowing light and airy, hardly touched by past events. Gradually, night enveloped the town. Stars chased her steps as Naomi finally locked the shop, her spirit aglow under the celestial sphere she still held in reverence. Her eyes glanced upward, past city lights and beyond towering pines, her heart pulsing a steady beat that mingled with night whispers offering their own poetry of resilience. Naomi's journey home was serene. With each step, wild thoughts of future change mellowed into firm convictions of a woman whose honesty remained untouched by momentary humiliation. She knew better things were possible if people like her made a stand. Days passed, a gust bringing subtle changes in the air, while Naomi tended to customers with her usual grace despite the lingering shadow of her observatory visit. A particular arrangement drew unexpected tears from the woman who'd ordered it, a reminder of how beauty can unfurl amidst loss. Yet every fragrant rose she tied slipped with intention, communicating something more profound. Life is tinged with all colors of growth and setback, each thread touching moments of mundane chaos or triumph. As she worked, Naomi caught occasional glimpses of her email inbox, wondering if anything would ever come of her effort, while quietly nurturing the hope that her actions had not gone unnoticed. Little did she know that events set in motion were gathering momentum just beyond her sight, like a tide preparing to rise, her message coalescing into waves that might soon break upon shores unseen. Naomi distilled joy into flowers and solace into budded petals, composing arrangements that revealed her inner song. Unseen to her but surely felt, something remarkable was germinating, born from seeds of injustice met wisdom, quickly moving towards fruition beneath surfaces unknowingly sown with fertile potential. The observatory's opulence masking danger couldn't yet sense the crescendo building. But Naomi, tranquil amidst her blooms, relished quiet confidence that even small voices could herald great change. An entire week passed before Naomi sensed any outward shift rippling from her email. She was wrapping a customer's bouquet, lavender threaded with tiny white baby's breath, when a little ping from her phone startled her into focus. It was a notification from Yvette Armstrong, the local journalist she contacted. Her heart picked up pace as she quickly set aside the floral arrangement to read the update. The headline blazed across her screen: "Locked emergency exits and management indifference uncovered at Hillcrest Observatory." Though the title lacked her name, the article paid tribute to an anonymous source concerned with public safety. It laid out the story with precision, reflecting Naomi's careful descriptions and highlighting the padlocked emergency exits along with the negligent staff attitudes toward visitor safety. Yvette's piece went live, gathering momentum with every passing hour. Social media platforms buzzed with commentary, shared outrage intermixed with bewilderment at how such an esteemed establishment could allow these oversights. Tweets and posts streamed across her screen, carrying waves of support for the unknown whistleblower and indignation aimed at the management's impractical and ludicrous shortcuts in maintaining safety standards. It wasn't long before authorities sprang into action. An official inquiry was launched, involving detailed inspections of safety protocols at the observatory. Local news picked up the story, amplifying its resonance and accentuating the urgency of the situation. Concerns about other potential lapses emerged within the observatory, probing deeper into records of their operations. Suddenly, the spotlight was glaring and hot, focusing intently on the very spot where Naomi had unknowingly nudged shadows into light. Assurances outpacing defense hastened hastily from the observatory's management team, who scrambled to manage the looming public relations fallout. A statement issued from their PR office attempted to downplay the incident's severity, attributing blame reluctantly to overzealous staff and vague miscommunications regarding standards. But the growing cascade of outrage seemed impervious to spin. It fueled community discussions online and offline, spotlighting systemic issues of safety negligence and improper treatment of patrons in various high-status venues. Other patrons came forward, sharing stories of experiences echoing Naomi's encounter, their collective voices bolstered by the lead she provided. Amidst the furor, health and safety auditors unearthed a troubling history of neglected practices including unlicensed equipment, improperly trained staff, and blocked emergency exits, irrefutable evidence that the observatory hadn't met required safety standards. Comprehensive regulations demanded far-reaching changes if they hoped to reopen under renewed scrutiny. Fines were levied and mandatory upgrades outlined, culminating in plans for extensive renovations to align with licensing laws. The once vocal staff member who publicly shamed Naomi was subject to a formal inquiry themselves, faced with suspension pending decisions on further discipline. Management, unable to justify retaining their facade, had to embrace transparency and change lest they succumb to scandal. Communication began to trickle Naomi's way, touching her heart. Strangers and neighbors sent emails and letters filled with gratitude and admiration for her courage, their sentiments entwined with tales of similar humiliations they'd faced in places where wealth dictated value, and judgment was dispensed by the glint of luxury belts and watches. Others associated with local businesses reached out in solidarity. Testimonials praised Naomi not only for courage but for translating personal hurt into an opportunity that inspired community growth, prompts toward dignity rather than defamation. Her action had stitched a patchwork of small yet significant victories around the city, resonating beyond her quiet moment of bravery. Naomi was astounded by the responses, humbled, uplifted, and taught how simple choices could render the rich hue of waves, ever altering those standing at convergence. Her resolve proved infectious, drawing individuals together under a banner of progress and validation. One email particularly stood out, bearing official letterhead and marking a missive from the city's Consumer Safety Board. They thanked Naomi for her actions, affirming her vigilant stance and acknowledging that, without her, deeper lapses would have gone unnoticed, lives remain unknowingly imperiled. Although her anonymity remained intact in public narratives, she basked in the knowledge that the difference she made served potent, far-reaching fruit. Naomi's ambition had never sought accolades, yet here they lay at her feet. Encouragement served as balm for her initial dismay and cemented a belief in consequence interwoven with one's core principles. The flowering of Naomi's action offered fragrant blooms, telling reminders that while attending to tasks dictated by self-preservation and growth, one never truly knows which route may entangle another's life, urging change through unassuming means. What she set into motion had grown far beyond her original intent. Each new development rekindled Naomi's sense of purpose, reaffirming her mission to nurture beauty, in both the blooms she tended and the injustices she unearthed. Community recognition enveloped her not in false regard, but in the authenticity of shared commitment, a resolve to advocate for safer practices and more profound respect for all visiting patrons. As weeks bore witness to transformations wrought in the observatory structures and policies, Naomi allowed herself a measured satisfaction, drawn from a quiet wellspring that cultivated empowerment amid delicate flower petals. In shaping needed reform, Naomi Ellis accomplished more than just an exposé on safety violations. She branched into an arbiter of justice and reminders blooming from modest hearts. For the changes she initiated were blossoming still, silent and thriving like the freshest of shoots in spring. She reveled in the knowledge that by speaking up, she had inspired a broader shift, one that held power in its testimony to the courage needed to confront complacency and demand a world more just for every individual, regardless of station. Weeks drifted by, and Naomi found herself returning to the rhythm of her life with a newfound sense of equilibrium and purpose. In the downtown district where Ellis Florals stood, everything seemed unchanged but for the heightened respect shown by regular visitors and the occasional customer who'd learned of her story through community whispers. With every bouquet crafted, Naomi was reminded of the lessons she gleaned from the experience, a testament to resilience and the ripples even small actions could create. She carried this awareness like a blossom clipped fresh from the vine, nestled near her heart, its petals unfurling in bright optimism. One crisp morning, Naomi entered her shop to find an envelope slipped beneath the door. Curious, she opened it to find a formal letter of appreciation from the city's Consumer Safety Board. They expressed gratitude for the insight she provided, noting how it spurred necessary reforms within the Hillcrest Observatory. These changes circled back, influencing broader industry standards when it came to emergency preparedness and patron dignity. She marveled at the ongoing resonance of her small act of defiance. As the days passed, Naomi noticed subtle transformations taking root within the community. Other small business owners were inspired to address consumer safety and refresh patron experiences in their domains, peppering her day with conversations ripe with potential. People she'd never spoken to before now approached her with stories of their trials, a kinship flowering from shared vulnerability. One day, as winter neared and her shop brimmed with poinsettias and frosted greenery, Naomi received a call from an acquaintance organizing a local community event. They invited her to participate as a speaker, an opportunity to reflect on her experiences and encourage others to find courage in voicing truths, no matter how simple or complex. Humbled, she accepted, understanding this experience, rooted in humility, was but the beginning of her expanded role in collective change. The observatory, meanwhile, embarked on administrative changes thinly veiled by revised visitor protocols and the introduction of transparency sessions. Naomi often strolled beneath its gleaming facade, her steps marked by curiosity and acceptance. It had not been an easy journey for either entity, but both her and the observatory had grown in ways not easily disentangled from each other. A formal apology had arrived via email at one juncture from their PR department. Naomi read it with kindness, trusting her actions invigorated cognizance rather than lingered as chastisement. She chose to accept the apology with grace. A juncture emerged through change swirling back its newly opening doors. One afternoon, as daylight lingered longer upon the horizon, Naomi's walk carried her down familiar paths past the observatory grounds. A new sign caught her attention as she ambled by, a posted list of updated policies revolving around safety improvements, training schedules, and commitments to accessibility in their programs. Adjacent announcements for community open days were heralded by cheerful banners, welcoming all to learn and share celestial marvels. Naomi paused, smiling softly as she witnessed the transformation her actions set in motion, now tangibly preserved in fresh ink and camaraderie. Back at her shop, the days opened into a symphony of gentle connections, customers arriving with intentions of conveying sentiments beyond verbally articulated greetings. Naomi found her purpose renewed, not solely in fostering beauty through florals, but comfortably dwelling in the knowledge of thriving interconnectedness with patrons, a veritable network of experience where joy compiled strengthier coats against darker intrusions. Friends, old and new, often joined her for afternoon tea within her store. They shared anecdotes both mundane and profound, forming a circle warmed within the shop's cozy confines. Laughter sprinkled through conversations in mellow intelligibility, fusing harmony from the past's discordant notes. Amidst such pleasant gatherings, Naomi discovered her place solidified not just in local commerce but amid empathetic voices wrapped in shared understanding. With the final tea sipped in the ebullient chatter of timpani porcelain, Naomi watched the sunsets declare themselves onto carpets of blossoms laid through day's trajectory. As dusk cradled the town, Naomi welcomed soft light wrapping the city in hushed avowals of possibility and change. Each venture past the observatory reaffirmed that progress nestled within the soul was fundamentally about courage, much like Flora unaware of potency until urged forth by gentle hands guiding bound possibilities to fuller existence. Naomi reveled in moments simple yet profound, those of sipping a comforting brew, chatting warmly, sharing smiles and festive rustling with her cherished community. Around her, a renewed vitality touched the edges of accomplishments unfurled to reconnect lives across diverse boundaries. She was intimately aware of beauty's paradox, wherein the absence lingered not in rarity but scarcity bridged between dreams pursued, embraced and realized as one true to core being. Through small acts of courage and dedication, Naomi Ellis learned her humble voice carried thought into action, capable of unlocking doors barred by ignorance, pretense, or disdain. It was her quiet testament to truth, distilled not through grand gestures, but seamed with determination reinforcing harmony through every blossom thriving under her care. Her legacy, bound not in grandeur but in sincerity, composed gentle requiems of resilient dreams, of stars speaking through diverse cadences, under bold skies shared by those fearless enough to embrace simple joys, seeking infinity within enduring visions. Naomi discovered dignity was not found in having status but, rather, possessing courage in pursuit of one's dreams and trusting the heart to guide decisions made in equity, warmth, and mutual compassion, for she found life's worth abundantly cultivated, a declaration stitched in unfading petals aligned in quiet triumph.